In October of 2023, I was a victim of a scam, and I lost over $30,000. I received a call from Amazon saying that I had purchased computers for people in 3 different states. And I said, oh no. Well, then they decided to turn you over to the U.S. Marshal, and they will take it from there. This guy always had to be with me on the phone, I think, to make sure I didn't say anything, because I was told not to say anything to anybody. I said, not even my friends? Nope. Well, they knew if I did that they would say, well, don't be doing this. I think you're being scammed. I was afraid of losing all my money if I didn't do this. I said I would never get it back, and they said no, if the government stepped in and I didn't follow his instructions. Basically, they were saying, we have to launder your money and get you a new Social Security card. I guess I believed them, and I started drawing money from, well, the first thing was some stocks. And they wanted to know all the investments I had, and he wanted to basically clean them out. I think it was around $30,000. And that's what they got too. I'd say some days I just can't do it. I don't feel well. And he said, well, I'll call you later and see how you're doing. And just constantly calling me. I felt good that he was asking me how my health was. But another trick, I suppose. From then on, the guy kind of took over and said, you need to go to the bank and draw out $15,000 in $100 bills, and then we'll have you go to Fort Dodge, go to a machine and deposit it. The guy kept saying that worked there, you're being scammed, you're being scammed. And I thought, you don't know, I'm dealing with the government. I was told by my CPA not to cash those in, leave them for the kids, because otherwise it's going to cost you. The U.S. Marshal said, well, don't worry about it. We will make sure you get that money back. Well, now I'm going to pay a lot of taxes because of it. I finally sent him a text message, and I said to him, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of lying to my friends at the bank. Then he talked me back in. That's when I lost the other 15. He said, if they're getting suspicious at the one bank, why don't you get a new bank? So I had money transferred over there, opened the account. The teller that waited on me, she had taken classes on this. And she kept saying to me, what are you going to do with this money? Oh, I said, I'm going to buy a farm. She said, you can get a money order. You don't need, cash. I said, yeah, I do. It's my money. Luckily, she stopped me from doing another $15,000. I'd probably still be doing it. Emotionally, I felt ashamed. I didn't want to tell anybody that this happened, that I was dumb enough to do this. I having a lot more health issues because of it. And, you're $30,000, you're financially feel like you're being pinched. And I know it'd be eating me alive. I just had to finally turn it over to God. And otherwise, I really would be a mess.
So I want to welcome you and thank you all for coming this morning. This is our last stop on our Stop the Scammers tour that you're here to be a part of. My name is Heather Kriener. I'm the Financial Literacy Director with the Iowa Department of Insurance and Financial Services. So this is the type of thing that I do year-round. I focus on fraud prevention. I go out into communities and provide education. I know that this is something that our office, the AG's office, who you're going to hear from later, your local law enforcement, we're all focused on doing this type of work year-round. But once a year, we get together, we join our different areas of expertise, and we go around into your communities to talk to you about fraud as part of our Stop the Scammers tour. So, like I said, this is our final, I guess, farewell event for our tour this year. And so what better way than with a packed house? I appreciate you all showing up. I know that your time is valuable, and there's a lot of things that you could be doing this morning. So I really hope that you find the value in what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about some of the common schemes that we see here in Iowa, how to spot the warning signs of a scam, and most importantly, who you can contact if you or someone you know has been targeted by a scam or is currently involved in a scam. Like I said, we do this work year-round, but we really need the help of everyone in your local communities, because likely you're going to hear about things before we do. Whether you are, a friend, a family member, you work at a bank, you work at the grocery store where you have a cryptocurrency ATM, which you're going to hear about later. There's lots of ways that the community can get involved in fraud prevention, and that's really what we kind of call you all to do going forward here today. So we are going to start out our presentation with someone who has spent many years of public service committed to consumer protection and fraud prevention, and that is our Iowa Insurance Commissioner, Doug Oman.
Thank you very much, Heather. It's great to be with you this morning. As she introduced, I am your insurance commissioner, so it's my pleasure to be here today. I also serve as the director of the Department of Insurance and Financial Services. And so, as Heather mentioned, we know how important consumer education is in our department. We know how it matters to people. So again, thank you for being here as we talk about stopping the scammers. This is my contact information. The reality is I have a great team of people to work with. So this really is not about the work that I do as much about the work that the people in my department do. So again, I want you to know this contact information, because if you find yourself in the middle of a scam or you find yourself being targeted with a scam, I want you to think about the Department of Insurance and Financial Services. Not us alone, but certainly there are a lot of areas that we cover in our responsibility that deal with scams. So please know who we are. This program actually started quite a number of years ago. There was a decision made in our legislature here in Iowa that we should be putting more resources into investor education. And the reason for that is we know that in our market, sophisticated, smart, educated investors are the best type of investors. That's the basic principle of investing. So stopping the scammers in our department actually began with our investor protection mission. Now, you might wonder to yourselves, how is it that the state is providing breakfast to people? I like to tell this story because it really does matter. We do get funding, and I want to thank the legislature for what they do. But you also need to know that the history behind our investor education is it was funded by civil penalties and penalties that were basically placed against people that had committed scams. So in a way you can think, well, taxpayers didn't buy your breakfast. The local con man bought you breakfast. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate you coming out. Now, you also, you hear about free dinner and free dinner seminars, free lunch seminars. We did buy you lunch, but the reality is that scammers bought you lunch. It's just that this time they did it to help educate yourselves, not to get money from you. But that's the history of that. Now, the investor education work that we do, it actually covers more than just fraud fighter events like what we do today. Heather did talk about her work. Her work actually starts at the middle school and junior high level and through high schools, because we know how important it is for Iowans to be educated in financial literacy. So Heather spends a lot of time working with public high schools, private high schools to develop financial literacy programs that really make us better as a state. We also have programs for people in their income earning years. You may have heard about some of these, but Funding the Future and Save for Later and Smart Her Money, it's on our website. So if you find yourself in that time in your life, there's really good tools, resources available to you to help you better understand the ideas of savings and investing in order to protect yourselves. Because as I mentioned earlier, educated, sophisticated, smart people are less likely to be caught in scams. However, we know that that's not the case when it comes to the scams that often are targeted at some of our most vulnerable citizens as older Iowans. And that's why we're here today, because the scam artists that target older Iowans are really sophisticated as well, especially in the digital age. We're now going to hear another story. This is a video of Martha Jo Ennis. She's a school teacher, retired school teacher, and she lost a significant amount of money in an investment scam. She's going to tell your story as how that happened.
It was 2 postcards that came in the mail, and one of them had to do with investment, and the other one was information about Social Security. And I laid them aside, intending to order the one about Social Security. When I signed them, I signed the wrong one and shredded the one that I should have kept. And that brought somebody to my door at a later time. Well, I figured out what had happened, and I finally, reluctantly, did let him in. He said he would only take 15 minutes, and it lasted much longer than that, of course. They offered a really high interest rate. And about that time, we sold some property, and they knew about that. I handed over a check for my half of the sale of farm property that was over $1 million. And I handed over, he talked me out of the annuity that I had been adding to from my paycheck from teaching for 40-some years. And he told me that we needed to get it out of the annuity, that if I didn't get it out of there, I would lose it. I always thought that people had to be pretty stupid to let it take place, but I sure got fooled, and I was well aware that things like that went on. But I think you have to watch out, because they have all kinds of charming things to say and get you off your guard. I'll never be in the place I was before it happened. Things are better than they were, but it'll never be the same. I don't trust people as much as I used to. I know that I won't let anybody in my front door that I don't know, whether they're wanting my money or something else, and I certainly would have a better idea of who to check with, and you just have to be very careful. Because you can ruin the rest of your life if you aren't.
So, as I mentioned, Martha Jo was a well-educated school teacher. She taught for many years in Cedar Rapids, and a really well-respected individual. Scammers know, however, when we get into our retirement age, we often have saved money like she did over many, many years. And because of that, scammers target people in that older Iowan group because of the fact that they know you may have those funds available. Unfortunately, Martha Jo did something after the fact that if she had done it before the fact, she would have saved her entire investment. We call it double check. Double check before you invest. She mentions it in this video where she talks about she knew who to contact. Unfortunately, she contacted our office just several days after her investment. And by doing so, when she contacted us, we were able to tell her, this investment cannot be sold in our state. It's not properly registered. It hasn't been registered with the state level or with the federal level. And investments are often sold in our state because they've been properly registered, reviewed. The financial statements have been gone over. But the reality is she called us after the fact. If she had called us and said, what can you tell me about this investment? We could have said, the individual selling this is under investigation for running a Ponzi scheme. And that's in fact what had happened is this individual had been raising money from individuals across Iowa and other parts of the country. But a Ponzi scheme is when you bring in new investments to pay off older investments, robbing from Peter to pay Paul. You sometimes pay interest and returns, but sometimes you return principal to those that are get noisy and start complaining. But in a Ponzi scheme, the reality is when it finally does collapse, it's the last investors that end up holding the empty bag. And that's what happened to Martha Jo. So we say double check before you invest. It's unfortunate, when she contacted our office, we had already undertaken our investigation. We were prepared to make a referral. The individuals that did this, they were prosecuted and they went to prison. And the reality is that for a lot of us who are not actually the ones that have the empty bag, we sort of feel like that's justice, but it's not justice because you can't spend enough time in prison for doing what you did to ever make things right for Martha Jo. I mean, that's the reality of white-collar offenses, is there is no justice just by sending people to prison. Now, we sort of view that that's deterrence, that's punishment, it should happen. But the reality is Martha Jo and her family suffered greatly because of that investment loss. So I tell you again, double check before you invest. If it involves any type of investment, please contact our office. Now, if you've got a trusted advisor who's licensed, it still doesn't hurt to contact our office if it seems like there could be some issue with it. If it's not registered, it's being sold as an exempt offering, please double check with us. It matters a great deal. Affinity fraud, these are the types of things that we see. Affinity fraud is basically that principle of individuals, con men would come into a community, they would find out where the Milwaukee Community Center is, they would gather in a room. I don't think there are any con men in this room or scammers in this room, but you never know, right? So people come into a room and they introduce themselves to get familiar with you. The reality is in the digital age, they don't even have to come to our town anymore. The reality is with social media, Facebook and other ways, individuals can befriend you and can be your companion and your friend, and they may not even be in the state, they may not even be in the country, but they use the same techniques of affinity fraud. That is, they want to be like you. They mimic who you are. If you have 3 children, they have 3 children. If your kids, went to school at the University of Iowa, their children went to the school at University of Iowa. The point of affinity fraud is to make you feel comfortable because scammers make you feel like they are like you. So just be very aware of their tricks. That's what happened to Martha Jo. I always like put free dinner seminar. It's not as common anymore, but you got a free breakfast, so I figured I'd put it up there. Sometimes free food does attract people. Just be wary of it. Be alert to it because investment scammers still use these tricks. Gold and precious metals, high yield investments, oil and gas programs, those are up there because scammers will use whatever is in the news to make it seem real. If you're reading stories about oil and gas investment because changes that are happening on the world stage, scammers will use that. Just be aware you should double check before you invest. Contact our office because we can give you information to help you make those decisions. I put Ponzi schemes up here again because we see this over and over and over again. Charles Ponzi was the first one. He was the one that they named the Ponzi after. But it was the same sort of deal where offering an investment to people, having no real business behind that. Bernie Madoff is another one where it's an illusion of real business, but it's bringing in new investors to pay the old investors. And it's something to be aware of because it often has a lot of reality to it. Be very careful. Private placement investments, those are the non-registered investments. And they can be appropriate investments, kind of give you the sense you're on the ground floor. It's something that's new and innovative. But the reality is private placements are often used by scammers as a way to get your confidence and also to avoid early detection by law enforcement. So be very aware of anything described as a private placement. Promissory notes are still really common. You get this idea that you're not getting a return down at the bank on your CD. So you get a promised return and it's fixed, so it feels like it's real, it's going to be a lot of money, but the reality is oftentimes those promissory notes, they're not backed by anything. There are no company assets, and they turn out to be a scam. Self-directed IRA fraud is for people that are moving out of the workplace into retirement. Scammers will look for you and find you if that's your circumstance and persuade you to make that IRA investment that is often a scam. Briefly, I'm going to talk about Medicare scams. In our office, we do investment frauds. We also have a lot of involvement in Medicare fraud, and that is part of our SHIP program. So how many of you are SHIP counselors? Do I have any SHIP counselors in the room? All right. Well, if you have moved into the days of Medicare, it sometimes is complicated. Well, we have SHIP counselors who are volunteers who will help you find your way through that process. In addition to the responsibility they have on counseling, they also have a responsibility to help you identify fraud. So if you get those postcards for things you didn't order, the Medicare medical devices that you didn't ask for, testing that you never ordered, those are indications of fraud. Please report that to our office. You can go on our webpage. There's information about how to report that information. But we're part of a national network to make sure that if folks are out scamming the Medicare system, that we'll work with the federal authorities to find those people, have them identified and prosecuted. And so we want you to be a fraud fighter as well. Join us in that. So if you get some information that looks suspicious, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. One of the things that we often look for when we're doing our work in education is people that are victimized. You can start to see signs of that. And I put this slide up there, and it really helped you in working on the issue of being a fraud fighter along with us. Because sometimes you may, in your circle of friends or family, may identify people that are starting to suffer physically from the effects of financial exploitation. And so part of our reason to have you be here is to help us in identifying and reaching out to help people that are being victimized. Because when we talk about stopping the scammers, oftentimes that means we're stopping the scam in the middle of a scam. And that's really an important part that you can play in this effort. So you can recognize it within yourself, but also if you know someone who may be victimized. I'm now going to introduce to you one of the members of my staff, Jessica McGraw. I'd like Jessica to come up. Where is Jessica? Come on up, Jessica. Jessica serves as a financial exploitation officer within our office. So Jessica, please introduce yourself.
Yep, my name is Jessica McGraw. I'm the Senior Financial Exploitation Investigator, and I work specifically with older Iowa consumers who have been the victim of some type of financial exploitation. I will say probably the two most difficult parts of my job are, one, bringing people to an understanding that they are in the middle of a scheme. Like the commissioner said, a lot of times when I'm meeting with people, they're still actively involved in the scheme. So working through that with them and helping them to understand and see the aspects of the scam. And then the second part would be dealing with some pretty devastating effects of financial loss and what that all looks like. So one thing I would say is we work very closely with banks, with credit unions, with financial advisors, and they are really well educated on the different aspects of scams and things to look for. So if you are getting information from one of those people that the transaction that you're trying to do or money that you're trying to withdraw for something doesn't seem right, please heed that advice, because they do go through a lot of training and they do see a lot of the same things that we see. The other thing is I've also heard a lot of, well, my money's probably gone, you know, it is what it is. We still want to know about that. We still want to help you. In a lot of cases, we are able to recover the money, but that's not always the case. And we do want to try to help with that. We have had some success, and we're going to hear about some of those today, but we still want to know about it, and then we still want to help you through the process, because there are a lot of things that we can do to help you after the fact. So we absolutely want to know, and we want to know as soon as possible, so we can start that process of trying to help you. So thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. So Jessica's work actually started out as really based on a law that was passed here in Iowa that allows investment advisors and stockbrokers, if they have a client who's being targeted as a victim of fraud or financial exploitation, that can be reported to our office as we regulate those individuals. So what happens is if it gets reported to us, we're able to work with that brokerage firm to essentially put a hold on the account to give us opportunity to work with local law enforcement or the Attorney General's office or through our own fraud bureau in order to identify whether or not that there is activity that's fraudulent. In the Department of Insurance and Financial Services, we've now been able to extend that to banks and credit unions as well, because oftentimes other people within the individual's life are part of this effort to stop scams. Again, you've heard a little bit about that from Barbara, the first speaker that was recorded, how sometimes a bank teller may know that there's a problem. So again, people like Jessica are available to help work through that process to stop the scammers, because we know that it's really difficult once money has been lost. Another area of scams and fraud that we work on in the insurance division is in the aftermath of a storm. And so it's really important to recognize that scammers know when you are in your most vulnerable position, that's when they want to take advantage of you. And oftentimes after a tornado, we have learned in our state that individuals will show up in the aftermath of a storm. They'll drive up in pickups from Texas or Florida or Mississippi or wherever they're from. But the reality is they come into our state and they have some of them have criminal backgrounds. Some of them have other professional licensing problems in their background, but those are oftentimes indications of individuals that are trying to take advantage of that situation. So you may have seen the trailer outside that we have. It's our mobile unit to be on site to help communities that have been impacted by disasters to have a good, smart response, because insurance is critically important to help people get back on their feet. At the same time, you don't want to be in a position where you're taken advantage of and you end up in a worse place because of the fact that you have been victimized by scam. These are a number of the different types of things to look for, but the reality is that if you have been suffered loss due to disaster, it's really important to be in touch with our office, communicate with us. Again, your insurance company should be there to help with you in that situation, but make sure that you're also communicating with us. Here's that relief. So let's go ahead and now just talk briefly again about other types of scams. You're going to hear from Al Perales, and I'm very grateful to Attorney General Byrd and Al Perales for the work that they've done as part of this effort. Because just as we see in investment scams and Medicare scams, the scammers, they will use every trick in the book. One of the things that we oftentimes see is how difficult it is for us to identify and prosecute the individuals that are doing this in the digital age. This is one example of how difficult it can be. This is a scam. We call it a pig butchering scam. Al will describe that in a little more detail later. But the reality is it often starts online in online communication where the individual develops a relationship with the victim. Now, what we know from this scam, this pig butchering scam, is that oftentimes, again, the folks that are running it, they're not even in our country. This is one of those examples where the work that was done at the local law enforcement that moved into federal investigation that led into Interpol or international investigation led law enforcement to a boiler room, which is that telemarketing room over in Southeast Asia. The individuals that were running that boiler room were individuals that had been victims in human trafficking. So the people that were running the scam, that is on the phone, trying to portray themselves as your boyfriend or your girlfriend, were individuals that had been taken by human trafficking into captivity to be, in addition to other things that they were forced to do, they were also forced to be on the phone to help figure out a way to scam Iowans and other Americans out of money. But you can see the scale to that extent. It was over 600 individuals running that boiler room. So if we don't stop the scam here in Iowa when we can, while it's happening, the reality is oftentimes the individuals that run these scams, we will not be able to chase them down and get the money back. So that's one of the reasons why we take this effort of education so make it so important, is because we know that if we work with you and talk to you in your communities, you talk to your friends, you talk to your neighbors, it's our best opportunity to stop the scam before it happens. One last thing I want to mention about trusted contacts. This is very common in the securities business. If you have a financial advisor, they will ask you, who is someone else in your family that we could talk to in the event there's an issue? Oftentimes that happens early in someone's relationship with a stockbroker or a financial advisor, because of the fact that as time goes on, we change as adults. And so there may be a point in life where you want another family member to be part of those discussions about when you should be liquidating investments. A trusted contact is someone also you should talk to your bank about, you should talk to your credit union about, someone else in your life that you do trust, that you can trust in the event you become targeted with a scam. I always call it the second voice, the individual you can go talk to. Sometimes it's a spouse, but sometimes if there's no spouse, it can be someone else, a sister, a brother, a son or a daughter, but someone else that you can really trust in the event you become a target of a fraud. Last thing is reporting. We just ask you to report. And the reason is, number one, it makes you attentive to what's happening, but we want you to keep our phone number, keep our website, keep that all in front of you, because it helps make you be more mindful of the scams. Oftentimes, when we're in one, we don't realize it's happening. So with that, I'm now going to ask Al Perales to come forward. Al, thank you very much for being here today. I look forward to your comments. Thank you for being here.
All right. Well, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? I want to tell you, it makes my heart smile seeing everybody here today. So thank you so much for taking the time to come here today and listen to us and hopefully learn something. I'm going to set this down over here if that's okay, if I need it. But I thought I'd start out with something funny. It's always good to laugh, isn't it? Yeah. Unfortunately, there was this plane that was about ready to crash. And there were 4 passengers, but only 3 parachutes. The first passenger was a heart surgeon. And he said, "My patients need me." So he grabbed the first parachute and he jumped off. The second passenger was a rocket scientist. And he said, "My country needs me. I'm one of the smartest men in the world." So he grabbed that second parachute and jumped off. The third passenger was Pope Leo. And he told the fourth passenger, a 10-year-old Boy Scout, he said, "Son, I'm old and frail. I don't have much time left. You go ahead and take that last parachute." And the 10-year-old Boy Scout responded, "Sir, that's okay. The smartest man in the world just took off with my backpack." So, one of the reasons that I love to tell that little joke is because, believe me, we cannot say it enough today. Double check, double check, double check, double check. Double check before you answer that phone. Double check before you hit that link that says urgent, your account's been breached. There's a package coming your way. Hey, thank you for your purchase. That you double check. Or before you sign on that dotted line agreeing to buying services or merchandise. Or before you get a text that says that you have a toll due, right? Right? Everyone's that you double check. Again, we can't say it enough. Double check, double check, double check. Our hope today, honestly, our hope today is that you learn something. But more importantly, we hope that you share it with someone you love, a family member, friend. Because after today, you will all be deputized as an Iowa fraud fighter. And we're hoping that you're going to have the tools in your tool belt to be able to identify, to be able to spot a scam, but more importantly, be able to stop a scam. That's what our hope is. I would think that most of you would agree with me that there seems to be a lot more evil in this world. It just seems like every day we turn on the news that there's just something happening. We don't live in the days of Andy Griffith anymore, right? When it seemed life was simpler, there was more good in this world, and although there were problems back then, it just seems there was more good. And I remember being in high school and something happening on the other side of the world. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that's way over there. I don't have to worry about it. And isn't it amazing today, when something happens on the other side of the world, we know about it right away. It affects us right away. Many times we have video we can watch, and it affects us emotionally, financially. We live in a smaller world. It's very sad that there are people that are waking up every day to lie, cheat, and steal. And they're focused on everyone in this room. They want your information. They want your money. We live in a scam culture. If you had the opportunity to sit in my chair for 1 week, you would hear devastating stories of good Iowans, hardworking Iowans, in tears, losing their life savings and believing something that was entirely not true. And for many, scams can just be a pain in the neck, right? But I'm telling you, scams can be devastating. They ruin lives. They steal hope. They steal financial futures. They break up families. And they even steal lives. It's very, very sad. And it's very, very important to know that anybody, it doesn't matter your financial upbringing, your cultural upbringing, your religious upbringing, your educational upbringing, anyone can be a victim of fraud. There's 3 things that I just want to make sure I hit home today. And I just accidentally hit that, but we'll cover that. And the 3 things. Number 1, scams are powerful. Scams are strong. I don't know what it is, but when a scammer gets a hold of an Iowan, common sense thinking and decision making go up by the wayside. It's like when they have you in the situation, it's almost like they come. I can't tell you how many folks I've talked. Al, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I did exactly what they said. I followed their every word. When they told me to jump, I jumped. It's because these scams are strong. I want to tell some stories today. A quick story. We had a gentleman from Williamsburg. He put $500,000 into a Bitcoin machine. He was in a romance scam for about 10 years. We contacted him in 2024. And when I contacted him, we were doing a Bitcoin ATM investigation. I contacted him. He was in tears. He said, Al, thank you so for calling. I don't know what to do. I feel trapped. And we helped him get out the situation. But I want to explain a thing that happened. He was it was 2024. He met in 2014. In 2017, the scammer contacted him and said, hey, I'm going to send a credit card your way, and it's going to have your name on it. Could you go to the Coralville and Best Buy and buy me some phones? Oh, sure, no problem. He gets a credit card with his name on it. He's on his way to Coralville. And on his way, he calls the scammer and says, hey, can I go get some gas with that credit card? Oh, sure, no problem. He gets some gas, puts it in his car, goes to the Best Buy, tries to get the phones. His card is declined. About a month later, he's at his high school reunion, painting a picture. He's 72 years old, veteran. He's got the Navy veteran cap. He's got the Navy veteran plates. Just a good guy, salt of the earth guy. And on the way home from his high school reunion from Marengo, he gets stopped. And the police says, hey, sir, no problem. I just got to run your plates. I'll get you on your way. Just give you a warning. Just give me a little bit. Comes back. Sorry, sir. I have to arrest you. There's a warrant out for your arrest. And do you know that this Iowan he was in jail in Williamsburg. Then he went to New York. Then he went to Missouri. And then finally Texas, where he had to stand in front of a judge. And he was in jail for 3 months, 2017, from September, and he got home 2 days before Christmas. Now, you would think that he'd say, okay, I'm done with you. I just spent 3 months in jail because of you. No. He ended up giving until we contacted him in 2024. Scams are strong. Number 2, scams are changing. Gone are the days when you just got hit with one scam. Scammers are mixing it up. They have a buffet line. They'll start with this scam, and then they'll grab this scam and sprinkle at the end with this scam. For example, they'll start you with a romance scam. They'll gain your trust, pivot, and then hit you with an investment scam, or hit you with a grant scam, or hit you with a lotto sweepstakes scam. Number 3, the most important, scammers are getting Iowans when their guard is down. For example, right now, if someone calls you on the phone, your guard is up. Do I know this person? Should I answer this call? Your guard is up. Scammers are finding ways to get into your life through text, through direct messages, through Messenger, through Facebook, through emails. Get into your life, and guess what? You're going into their world. They're not contacting you. They just have something out there, and you call. Or you respond. And we'll talk about a few of those. We had a gal in our office not too long ago. She was involved in a pig butchering scam. She lost $250,000, and she was in tears. I just felt so bad for her. While she was in front of us, she told us that she wanted to take her life after it happened. Again, these scams are evil. But do you know how the scammer got into her world? One day she was just doing her thing, and she got a text. Are we supposed to have coffee today? What? Sorry, you got the wrong number. About a week later, are we supposed to have coffee today? Oh, sorry, you got the wrong number. Ha. You text me twice. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Mike. And I don't believe things happen by accident. You seem like a nice person. I would love to get to know you. Hey, my name is Mike, and maybe we can be friends. And guess what she did? She allowed him in, and she lost $250,000. I get asked many times, Al, how do scams work? Why do they work? I mean, honestly, simply, scammers understand how we tick. They understand what makes us go forward. They understand what makes us go backwards. I'll give you some examples. With a raise of hands here, how many in here want to pay for something that they didn't agree to or want? How many? Raise of hands, not all at once. Nobody, right? Nobody wants to pay for something that they didn't agree to or want. So what's a scammer going to do? They're going to create a situation to make you believe that you've purchased something, that a package is coming your way, or you have a charge on your credit card. And if you're anything like me, if I see a charge that I didn't make, I get a little anxious, right? My heart starts skipping a beat, going a little faster. And what do I want to do? I want to fix it. I want to take care of it. I want to put it behind me. Scammers know that. So again, they're going to create a situation to get your attention that you've purchased something or something's coming your way. Or how many in here with a raise of hands want to be in fear of being arrested or in trouble with law enforcement? How many? Nobody, right? So scammers going to create a situation where they're going to make you think that you're in trouble with the law. They're going to put fear in you. They're going to scare you. They're going to tell you not to tell anybody. And there's always going to be money involved. And how many, I'm the first one to raise my hand here, how many of us would love to win the lotto? Yeah, me too. A little transparency here. In my car right now in the visor, I have a Powerball and I have a scratch off. While I'm driving down the road, do I think of it? Do I think, oh my gosh, if I were to win, I would buy this or buy that, or I would give to my kids, or I'd give to the church, and I'd buy myself a Porsche. I would, a little but it brings a smile to my heart, right? A smile to my face. Scammers know that. There's greed in me. There's greed in you. And scammers know if they can get that greed, if they can put that carrot up there and get that greed going, they know they can get you to act. And how many of us, if there's someone in trouble, a friend, a family member, how many of us would want to lend a helping hand? I think most of us would. And scammers know that. So what a scammer wants to do is quite simple. They want to put a situation in your life, or you walk into that situation, and it's supposed to do one thing: raise your emotions. Put your emotions up here of excitement, fear, or pulling at your heartstrings. Because they know when your emotions are up here, that's when the magic happens. That's when Iowans are doing things and making bad decisions, and just because of they believe something that's true. But it's not. If you can remember one thing, I want you to remember the acronym TIP. T-I-P. What the scammer wants to do, as we've learned, they want to introduce a threat into your life. The threat can be good or bad, but we learned it's supposed to do one thing: raise your emotions. You've been approved for a grant. You've won the lotto. Hey, we're the IRS. You're in trouble with your tax return. If you don't take care of it right now, you're going to be in trouble. Hey, we're Mid-American Energy. You're late on your bill. And if you don't pay today, we're going to shut off your electricity today. That threat, erase your emotions. The I is immediacy. The scam will always have a sense of urgency that you have to do something now. And if you don't do something now, there's consequences. Well, Mr. Smith, if you don't give us your date of birth, your social security number, and your bank account, we won't be able to give you that $55.5 million and that Mercedes-Benz. Or, Mrs. Smith, you've been tied to criminal activity, and you can't tell anybody. And if you don't work with us, we're going to have to come and arrest you. And when we're done with this investigation, if you don't work with us, when we're done with this investigation, if you work with us, you won't get arrested. Just that fear. And the P is payment. The scam will always have money involved. And the money will always be in ways that you have no defenses. So they're going to ask for cash. They're going to ask you to go buy gold and they'll pick it up or stop by. Or they're going to ask you to wire money or get them Western Union. And as we'll talk about in a little bit, they'll want you to go to a Bitcoin machine and put money into a Bitcoin machine. TIP, T-I-P. Scammers are what I call the great magicians. They're great at creating an illusion that seems so real. But in fact, it's nothing but smoke and mirrors. The scammer's foundation is nothing but lies and deception. But again, they make it seem so real. Some of the scams that we're seeing right now here in our state, the Amazon scam. Again, no, it's a great scam. Why? Because you're going into their world. You think you're trying to fix a problem. You got a message, a text that you thank you for your purchase. And you're like, oh, let me fix this. I didn't order it. We had a gal, an older Iowan in Delmer, Iowa. She had received that she had ordered an iPhone. And she got a call first. She disregarded it. And then she got a text. And guess what? There was a 1-800 number, customer service for you to call to take care of your problems. That's what they wanted you to do. So she called and she said, Al, it sounded like Amazon. It felt like Amazon. Even the waiting music was on there. And I want to tell you that these scams are evil. In her story, the scammer had a voice at the beginning. And the scammer's voice was one of calmness, of comfort, of wanting to help out, of caring. And suddenly, the scammer turned her world upside down. And the scammer's voice became a voice of frightening her, of condemning her, of pushing her, of frightening her. She called and she says, oh, no problem, ma'am. We'll take care of this. No problem. Can I get your information? Sure, no problem. Oh, ma'am, are you ordering a laptop right now? Why, no. I'm trying to get this fixed. I'm not ordering a laptop. I didn't order this phone. Oh, ma'am, your account's been flagged. I need to turn you over to the federal police. And next thing you know, someone else was on the phone. Told her he was with the CIA or DEA. I think it was a DEA. And said that she was tied to criminal activity, to drugs, and painted a picture for her that she was in trouble, and they needed to she needed to not tell anybody, and she needed to follow directions. And she said, hey, ma'am, how much do you have in your savings? Well, I got about 30 grand. Well, what we need you to do is we need you to send this to this address in California, and I want to tell you that you'll get the money back after this investigation's done. And this money that you're sending, it's taken care of, it's insured by the federal government. And when it's done, you'll get a check from the U.S. government, from the Department of Treasury. And she sent the $30,000. The next day she called me. She told me the story just like I told you. And I said, I'm going to hang up the phone. I called the little shop in Eldridge, Iowa, the little FedEx shop. I talked to the manager, and he's like, Al, I remember talking with her yesterday. And she said she was going to send it to California. She goes, I think I can stop it. And we ended up getting her money back. But again, that doesn't happen all the time. Romance scam, pig butchering scam. We've had a Bitcoin investigation, well, I'll talk about here in a little bit. But part of that task has been to call Iowans who have used a Bitcoin machine. And I can't tell you, it would scare you how many Iowans are involved in romance scams, one after another, romance scam, romance scam, romance scam, romance scam, romance scam, romance scam. This is probably one of the most evil scams out there. Everyone in here knows what it feels like to fall in love. Everyone in here knows what it feels like to bend over backwards and get those butterflies in your stomach, right? And it's supposed to be something good, something pure. And scammers turn it into something ugly. And they take advantage of someone, making someone feel that they're loved. And they start asking for money over and over again. That gentleman that I talked to you about in Williamsburg, again, he thought he was in love. He was doing it for his girlfriend. It's one of the most evilest scams out there. The pig butchering scam. The pig butchering scam is a little bit of the romance scam. Like we said, scammers are changing it up. It's a little bit of the romance scam, a little bit of the investment scam. We had a gentleman in Ottumwa, Iowa. He was retired. He was driving bus, and he was on Facebook, and he got an invite from a very nice blonde, young-looking lady, asking him to be her friend, and he accepted her. And she reached out to him, and they started talking about dumb stuff that friends talk about, cooking, traveling, family, sports. And then she started with the con. And she said, hey, I just want to let you know a little bit about me. I'm a CEO of Dress Barn, and I'm pretty successful. I have a couple houses. I bought a house for my parents, and I did it through cryptocurrency investing. And I can show you how to do it. I can show you how to make money. So he invested some money, and he downloaded an app, and he saw the money grow and grow and grow and grow all the way up to $750,000. But it was all fake. It was all monopoly money. It was all lies and deception. And then she said, hey, let's take out the $850,000, but we'll need you to pay taxes and fees. You need to pay $164,000 in taxes and fees. So he got the titles to his Harley, and he cashed in some IRAs, and he got some loans, and he handed over that $164,000. And for him, it was easy math, right? I give you $164,000, and I get $850? That's easy math for everybody, right? But it was just nothing but lies and deception. And he lost $164,000, just like that. The pig butchering scam, it has an ugly name. It comes from China. There have been outfits, criminal outfits that have been taken down by international law enforcement. And these outfits are using young kids, and they're sex trafficking them. And then you know what they're doing when they're not being sex trafficking? They're on the computer, trying to friend people, playing games, communicating with people, trying to break the ice, trying to get in people's world so they can start conversation. But everyone in here should know that if you ever get contacted and they're trying to raise your emotions, they got money involved, there's a little thing of urgency, you should now know that it's a scam. The virus text scam. The virus text scam is a very, very strong scam. I mean, nobody wants anything wrong to happen with their computer. And I don't know if you can hear this, but it sounds something like this.
On network. Please call our Microsoft support. Windows security and privacy alert. Important security message from Microsoft support. Your computer has been locked up. Your IP address was used without your knowledge or consent to visit websites that contains network and identity theft virus.
A little scary, right? A little scary. And again, it's a great scam because it gets you when your guard is down. My computer's up. Oh, there's bells and whistles. Oh, a virus. Oh, guess what? Look, there's a number. Call Microsoft. Call McAfee. That's what they want you to do. That's what they want you to do to get you in their world. It's a very strong scam. We had a gal from up in Boone, Iowa, paint a little picture. Last year, she was gonna be retiring from many, many years of teaching young children. Her and her husband were going to go to Paris on August 5th. It was August 3rd. She was on her computer taking care of stuff. Suddenly, she got a message just like that. And she called it. And they were nice. Oh, ma'am, no problem. We're going to take care of this. Did you click on this? Click on this. And once she clicked on that, they let her in her computer. They knew her bank account. They knew she was going to Paris. They knew all this stuff. And suddenly, like I said, just evil. They turned her world upside down and told her that she was tied to child pornography and scared her and told her if they didn't work with her, if they didn't work with them, she was going to get arrested. Long story short, she was on the phone with the scammers from 8:30 in the morning to almost 9 at night. And she put $15,000 into a Bitcoin machine. And she said this, and I'll never forget it. She said, Al, I never knew I could fall for evil so easily. Again, just downright virus text scam. Google search scam. I put this one on here because many of us are online looking for help. Maybe that you want to rent a car, or maybe you're looking for customer service for a certain company. What we're telling you is that always go to the actual website. Do not use the results. Scammers pay for the results. So if you're looking for Apple customer service and you're looking at 1, 2, 3, or 4, and that one says Apple customer service 555-1212, you're like, oh, there it is. Let me call it. You're going right into their trap. 2 weeks ago, honest truth, I was going to pay my Target bill. So I went and put Target red card. And I saw something on the thing, and I clicked on it, and it looked like the Target website. It was so good, and it said, "Oh, put in your email or put in your phone number." So I put my phone number in there, and it said, "Oops, your account's been disabled. Please call this number." And I almost fell for it, but I put my investigator cap on, and I looked, and "oops" was spelled wrong. And then I looked a little closer, and there's just other things going on. But I'm telling you, it was a trap trying to get me. These traps are everywhere online. So with the Google search scam, always go to the actual website, or go on your bill, or go on anything and find the phone number there. Do not use the results. Crypto Bitcoin. The last year and a half, almost 2 years, our office has been doing an investigation on crypto ATMs. They're here in Waukee. They're all over Iowa. They kind of look like a normal ATM, except you can't take money out. You only can put money in and purchase Bitcoin. But then you can purchase the Bitcoin and then transfer it to somebody. And that's what they want you to do. That's what the scammer wants you to do. So the scammers having Iowans go to these Bitcoin machines, put money in it. And I'm not talking $200 or $300. Like we talked to that gentleman put almost $500,000 into those machines. I had a gal who I talked to not long ago put $127,000 in one. Quick story. I was in the Quad Cities, and I was knocking on doors, and I had to talk to this gal named Bridget. And I said, "Hey, Bridget, my name is Al Perales. I'm with the Iowa Attorney General's office, and we're doing an investigation on Bitcoin ATM machines, and I noticed that you put $80,000 into the machine. May I ask you why you put money in the machine?" She's like, "Yeah, I put it in for my boyfriend." And I'm like, "Well, can I ask who your boyfriend is?" And she said, "Yeah, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson." And I'm like, "Well, what does The Rock have you do?" "Well, The Rock had me open 5 accounts, bank accounts, and he puts money into the account, and then I take the money out and put it in the Bitcoin machine." And I'm like, "Bridget, do you know what you're doing? You're laundering money. You're a money mule. You are moving dirty money for a criminal." And our investigation has showed that Iowans are putting money in the machine, and with the help of our interns back there, they've seen that money's going to Hamas, terrorist organizations, sex trafficking sites, porn sites, evil stuff. Our office has filed a lawsuit against Bitcoin Depot and CoinFlip, one of the 2 biggest ones. And just recently a law came into play that really helps Iowans. That an Iowan can only put $1,000 into the machine, $10,000 a month. And if it's a first-time user, they have 90 days to get a full refund. So if anyone ever asks you to go a crypto Bitcoin machine, it's a scam. Really quick, 10 tips. If you don't recognize a number, Don't answer the call. It's okay not to be Iowa nice. Just hang up. I'm not interested. Never share your personal or financial information. Never pay with gift cards. It says gift. It's not supposed to be used as a payment source. As I talked to you, one of the big scams is the Mid-American Energy scam, where they call you and tell you that there's something wrong with your bill. And then they'll tell you, you need to pay today or we're going to shut your electricity off. But our system is down and you have to pay with a gift card. And I can't tell you how many Iowans, again, their emotions are raised. They don't want their electricity off. They don't know that by law they can't just shut your electricity off like that. But again, it gets them in the moment. Number 4, resist the urge to act quickly or without thinking it through. Scammers want you to keep it a secret. Number 5, don't rely on your caller ID. I put down there because scammers can put whatever they want on your caller ID and make you believe that it's a Polk County sheriff. Just recently, we had the Polk County. They were using the Polk County sheriff's name on the caller ID and telling you that you had jury duty and you failed to show. And because you failed to show, there was a fine. And if you didn't pay the fine today, right? Urgency. They were going to put a warrant out for your arrest. Again, threat, immediacy, and payment. Number 5, never pay for a prize. If you get a call that you've won a car, a trip, whatever, and they're asking for fees up front, insurance fees, never pay. We always say if you have to pay up front, it's not a prize. Deal locally, deal face to face. I put this one on here because many Iowans are going online, Craigslist, Marketplace, to buy cars, tractors, little cute puppies, little kittens. And what we're saying is go and see it. Go look at it. Go kick the tires. Test drive it. We had a gentleman from Cedar Rapids that he was retired. He was ready to retire. He had done his homework. He wanted to buy an RV. And he found an RV on Craigslist that he knew was worth $300,000 for only $80,000. What a great deal, right? So he called and he asked all the right questions and he talked to them. He's like, can I come and see it? No, you can't. My wife has COVID. I'm military overseas. But if you don't want it, I got 5 people right behind you ready to take it. No. Where do I send the money? $80,000. Boom, gone. So go squeeze the puppy and pet the kitten. And test drive it, kick the tires. Number 8, take the time to review your financial statements each month, your bank statements, your credit card statements. I've done a lot of investigations where we reached out to Iowans because we learned of something that a company is reaching into their accounts. And I can't tell you how many Iowans I'll call and said, hey, do you know ABC Company? No. Do you know you're a member of ABC Company? No. That you've been a member for 6 months? No, I haven't. Do you know they've been taking money out of your account for 6 months? No, they haven't. Again, always take the time to look at your credit card, your checking accounts, your savings account. And if there's something that's not supposed to be there, make sure you contact your bank and contact us. Number 9, double check. We cannot say it enough. And remember that a scammer wants to introduce a threat into your life. They're going to introduce immediacy, a sense of urgency, and they're going to want payment. They're going to ask for money. And remember that a scammer wants to raise your emotions. They want to put your emotions up here because they know when the magic happens. Really quick, freezing your identity. Everyone in this room should have their credit frozen. In your booklet is information on how to freeze your credit. There's 3 reporting agencies, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And what's awesome about it is that it gives you control. As we get older, we're using our credit less and less. And you put a padlock on it if you freeze it. It's free. I believe everyone in here should have their credit frozen. Your children should have their credit frozen. Your grandchildren should have their credit frozen. And there's more information in your booklet. We feel it a privilege, and we are so grateful to be able to do what we do. And we have just loved going from town to town and meeting good Iowans, meeting hardworking Iowans. And we just want to let you know that you have friends. That you have friends at the Iowa Attorney General's office, you have friends at the Iowa Insurance Division, and you have friends in local law enforcement. And if you ever have an issue, you ever have a problem, you can give us a call anytime. There's only one thing we got to do. We're going to deputize everyone here real quick. And I want to tell you that we worked long and hard on this. This was passed up by attorney. It got the gold stamp of approval and everything. And you know what's so simple about it? I said, hey, well, what do they need to do? Well, Al, all you have to do is have them raise their right hand, and they got to repeat after you. And I'm like, that's it? And then they're deputized? He's like, yep, that's all. So that's what we're going to do today. It's very simple. So I'm going to have everyone raise their right hand, and we're going to deputize everyone here as an Iowa fraud fighter, okay? Here we go. Repeat after me. I pledge from this day forward to be an Iowa fraud fighter. I will be alert and aware of all scams at all times. I understand that scams prey on my emotions. I will protect my personal and my financial information. I will never send money where urgency and secrecy is at play. I promise to educate myself and others. And I commit to reporting suspicious activity. I am an Iowa fraud fighter. Give yourself a round of applause.